When it comes to the activities of the Chinese and Russian militaries, your initial reaction could be to automatically turn your attention to Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine and China's consistent boundary pushing in the Indo-Pacific. And while we'd forgive you for doing that, limiting your field of view to those regions would be a mistake. That's because both countries are increasingly intent on developing a presence in the Arctic. So much so, this deepening collaboration between the world's second and third largest militaries has the full attention of those charged with defending North America's northern tier. And that's the subject of this week's debrief. In mid-September of last year, Russia and China launched Ocean 24, a large-scale naval and air exercise that spanned the Pacific and Arctic Oceans. It involved over 400 warships, submarines, and support vessels with more than 120 aircraft and 90,000 troops. And oh yeah, around the same time, NORAD tracked 4 Russian military aircraft entering Alaska's Air Defense Identification Zone.
This summer, we had the Alaska NORAD region and myself countering the Combined Bomber Patrol, with the Chinese and the Russians conducting a bounce through Anadyr to take a run at the Air Defense Identification Zone for Alaska. And Canada and the U.S. were shoulder to shoulder in that deterrent moment, and we were in position for that deterrent moment.
Major General Chris McKenna, the Canadian NORAD region commander, was part of a panel at this year's AFA Warfare Symposium called Northern Tier Defense that addressed the looming threat of Russian and Chinese incursions in the Arctic.
Arctic security, in my view, is economic security, not just for Canada and the U.S., but for our Euro-Atlantic partners, fundamentally economic security. So these are the threats, and this is the context that I sort of live and fight in.
In 2018, China declared itself a near-Arctic state as part of its strategy to gain influence. We should note that this title is self-proclaimed and not officially recognized by Arctic nations or international bodies. Nonetheless, China's northward push appears to be part of a broader strategy to assert dominance at the top of the world.
In my mind, I think my biggest concern is this, that we fail to recognize the urge to speed up the pace, to get back on track when it comes to the Arctic, when it comes to invest in our capability, to operate in the Arctic as allied and partners, and fail to really assess the atmosphere in the Arctic. I think that is the assessment part, and the operational part is to me the most important parts right now for us.
For Major General Jonas Wickman, Chief of Staff of the Swedish Air Force, whose country is one of the newest members of NATO, the timing of their inclusion is a critical factor in defending the northern tier from Russian and Chinese incursions.
We'll also add geography when it comes to early warning capabilities. I mean, we cover from, I think, 55 to 69 degrees north. That's kind of a wide area for early warning. We bring in place geography when it comes to bases. We have air bases and we have spaceport north of the polar circle, and we know how to operate that.
And it's that diversity of defenses, from the northern Pacific to the northern Atlantic, that potentially gives the United States and its allies an edge in the Arctic. Where Russia and China generally operate from a single system, they, in turn, will have to deal with far more than that.
Now imagine an adversary having to approach it from, hey, what does Saab's system do? What is it that this system's going to look like to my screen, to the sensing apparatus? They have to approach it from all of us. And I think that's very, very powerful, not only in terms of kind of the way we generate information or process information, but also the way that we can then attack the problem. Because you can't just get to one of us without bypassing the others. Right? And so I think that, again, that to me seems like a great way to collaborate, and just something that, again, being the retired guy, I love to see kind of that expansion of NATO, bringing Sweden and Finland to the mix.
If all of this sounds new to you, there's a reason for it. The Arctic hasn't been a major focus for U.S. defense spending in the past. This is probably because, except for Russia, most countries with claims in the region were U.S. allies. Beyond that, China only started developing its Arctic strategy in the last 6 years or so. While there's no denying the global politics in the Arctic are shifting, especially as climate change is making the waters easier to navigate, it might feel like the US is falling behind in Arctic policy. But that's a perception that could soon be changing, especially as, at least for now, NATO continues strengthening its defensive plans in the region.